to Coffee to Cigars, and before we get into today's coffee and our fitness questions, make sure that you like, comment, subscribe, share. When you comment, ask your questions. Ask me anything that you'd like me to go over while we're here. But before we get into the fitness questions today, we are going to talk about our coffee for today. So, I picked up this one, Black Rifle Coffee Company, at Walmart. So I was walking around Walmart and I was like, oh, let's see what they got in their coffee aisle. And I believe I've actually heard of this before. I've never had it, never tried it, but I believe I've heard of this company before. I don't know where, but I think I have. Anyway, look up their information on the site so that we can go through everything. And what actually drew me to this is the fact that it is a veteran-run coffee company. So let's look at their mission and all of that first. So it is blackriflecoffeecompany.com, and it is, our mission is Black Rifle Coffee Company serves coffee and culture to people who love America. We develop our explosive roast profiles with the same mission focus we learned as military members serving this great country, and are committed to supporting veterans, law enforcement, and first responders. With every purchase you make, we give back, which I love. So, history is founded in 2014 by former U.S. Army Green Beret Evan Haffer. Black Rifle Coffee Company was built upon the mission to serve coffee and culture to people who love America. Black Rifle stands for more than high quality coffee. We are a veteran founded business operated by principled men and women who honor those who protect, defend, and support our country. Let's see. So they are owned and operated by veterans, obviously. As we grow, we're committed to hiring 10,000 veterans to provide opportunities to the military community that helped build us. Taking a look at all of their info on here. So go check out their website. We got a YouTube channel. We got a vlog. I also was drawn to the packaging because I thought it was interesting, right? So this particular roast is Tactisquatch. You have to be a little bit careful with how you pronounce that, I think. My brain, I'm just saying Tactisquatch. I mean, you run with it, okay? So it is a dark roast. It's whole bean, of course. We're gonna do our grinds and our coffee, French press and all of that for you. Let me pull up a little bit more about this particular roast. The lore of the fabled Tactisquatch has grown stronger every day. Legend has it that this Honduran Arabic dark roast coffee offers tasting notes of black currant, molasses, and orange. While the public only has rumors to fill their imagination, you have proof that this mythical creature is alive, well, and only a click away. We are gonna go ahead and try this. Taking a look here. So the roast scale to dark roast. So they actually have extra dark roasts too, so I'm gonna have to look for that. You guys know, I like dark roast. It is what it is. So currant, molasses, and orange. Cool. Simply put, we serve coffee and culture to people who love America. Fantastic. All right, so let's open this up and see what it's all about. This is always the hard part, and I just did my nails. This is tricky. I swear. I need like the Jeopardy theme song in the background. Holy cow. I got it. I can see it opening. Got it. Look at it. I did it. So proud of myself. Okay. Okay, so this is, yeah, it's definitely dark roast. Now, if you remember the last one, I was like, oh my God, this is strong. That's not this one. This one's more mild. It's like, I don't know if sweet is the right word. Maybe it is, because I think they said they have orange and currant in there, right? Yeah, so they have molasses, orange, and currant in here. So yeah, that makes sense. It's almost like a sweet smell. Yeah. Now, just looking at the beans too, like the last one that we did, they were very dark black beans. These are not. These are a little bit more brown versus that dark roast. All right, well, we're gonna mix them and I'll be back and we'll try it together. All right, we are back, brewed, ready to go. I have our themed coffee mug today. Now, I know it's a travel mug, but it does say, be a warrior, not a worrier. So I felt like that fit with the whole veteran-owned Black Rifle Coffee Company situation. So let's try this out. Let's see, pour it. Okay. My dog's making noise. Distracting. It still has that sweet smell to it. Like that. I can smell the orange. And molasses. Molasses is what it is. Okay. What's that? Now, to be honest with you, I don't think I would classify this as a dark roast. I feel like this is a little bit more towards the medium end than dark. Like, it's very full-bodied, but it doesn't feel like some of the other dark roasts that I've had. So, you know, this is me comparing it to a dark roast that I'm used to. It doesn't feel as dark. It feels a little bit lighter. It's got, again, that kind of sweetness to it. It's good. Don't get me wrong. I just wouldn't say that this is dark roast, just me personally. Now, for those of you out there that want a little bit more of a like full body, but not like super strong taste of coffee, this is like middle of the road. That's what it feels like to me. It feels like a medium roast. It doesn't feel like it's a blonde. It doesn't feel like a light roast. It doesn't feel like any of that. It's not light, but it's also not super dark. So it's not super heavy coffee taste, if that makes sense. For those of you that like that kind of thing, I think this is actually a really good introduction to going up into a darker roast. It's good. Again, it's got that sweetness to it. I'm trying to like, when I think of something like this, I think of something that I'm going to have with like bread, like a pastry, like a not a sweet pastry, like a bread, like a croissant, something like that. This would be great with that. What it makes me think of is my dad likes to go to the backyard, go hunting and things like that. So, you know, he'll sit out there, he'll eat he just sent me pictures this morning. This is probably why it's in the front of my mind. He'll go out there, he'll eat his little sausage pepperoni thing with his cup of coffee, his thermos of coffee and things like that. He'll have his lunch out there. And like when he was working construction, he would have his lunch and his coffee and his thermos and things like that. That's what this reminds me of. Like, it makes sense. It's like the all-American veteran type thing. I come from a very heavily military veteran family, that kind of thing. So it does remind me of that a lot. So again, this is like something that I could see my dad sitting out in the backwoods with his shotgun, doing his deer hunting, and his little stick of pepperoni, drinking this out of his thermos. So that's what I'm relating it to. So anyway, it's very good. Again, I wouldn't consider it to be a dark roast personally. I think it's a little bit lighter than a dark roast, but it's good. I like it. And it's got that sweetness to it. Okay, so with that, we're gonna go into some questions that were sent in to me. These are a few, and some of them have to do with today's holiday and everything too, because we just had Thanksgiving. So We're going to talk about that a little bit. I do have a couple of like random questions, meaning like, one of those being, do I ever teach how to work with macros? Yes, is the short answer to that. If you're one of my lifestyle clients or coming in wanting to compete, things like that, you will be on macros, period. I work everybody on macros. And I do teach you how to do that, okay? Before we get into that though, if you've watched the podcast that Jordan and I do with Behind the Bikini, we have a 3-part series on macros. So what I'll do is I'll go ahead and link the first of those 3 into the description box below for you. So if you want to go watch that, we did do a 3-part series on that. So that gives you a little bit of an introduction to macros. But again, going back to, if you're working with me as a client, we will do macros. Now, everybody's macros are going to look a little bit different. What that means is for some people, it's going to look very similar to a meal plan. For others, it's going to be all over the place. Again, it depends on if your lifestyle or if you're going to be competing. Those are 2 different things, right? The beauty with macros is that it makes you realize that you can eat anything out there, and you can still get results, right? So typically, just to give you a typical example, what I'll do with people that are not familiar with macros to start is we'll start you out on a basic macro plan with meals kind of plotted out, things like that, which you typically eat. I'll sit you down, we'll go through, what you typically eat for your breakfast, lunch, and dinner, plug those in, plug in the amounts so they all hit the macros that I want you to hit for your daily intake, right? And then you'll just repeat that every day, okay? As you get more comfortable with doing that, then you can start swapping some things in and out, different things that you want to particularly eat. For example, like maybe your typical breakfast is you have eggs and oatmeal for breakfast. Let's just say that's what you typically do, right? And then, as you get comfortable with putting that in, you want to have a bagel for breakfast instead of the oatmeal. Cool. We can swap the oatmeal out, put the bagel in, and just adjust your macros for the rest of the day so that bagel fits, okay? So those are the things that we do, and we just adjust that one thing and then move everything else around it. But I do work with you on that, because the biggest thing when it comes to macros is when you first start, it feels very overwhelming. So you need to make it as simple as possible, as easy as possible to start. Then once you're comfortable with putting everything in, then you can start swapping some things out, moving some things around, and understanding how the puzzle pieces all fit together. It's kind of like a Tetris game where you're trying to fit everything in together. Some tips when it comes to first starting out with macros is make sure that you don't just try to do it meal by meal. Make sure that you plot your entire day out first, okay? I say, okay, if we're planning for tomorrow's meals, plan tomorrow's meals today. Put them into your MyFitnessPal app for tomorrow, today. Like sit down tonight when you're done with everything, plot out tomorrow's meals, so that when you get up in the morning, all you got to do is go look at your app and say, okay, I need this much eggs, I need this much oatmeal, I need blah, 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 blah. And you go through your day and just eat what you already programmed in. Where people fall into issues with tracking macros is they do their breakfast, then they go throughout the day, and then they do their lunch, then they go throughout their day, and then they do their dinner, and then they've just got this mismatch of macros at the end of the day, your carbs, fats, and proteins at the end of the day that don't fit, right? And now you don't know what to do. Do it ahead of time. Do it ahead of time so that you don't get to the end of the day and have, 50 grams of protein sitting there and 2 grams of carbs and no fat, and you don't know how to eat everything, right? So how to put it into another meal at your end of your day. Again, as you get more comfortable with it, you'll be able to swap some things out, move some things in, all those kinds of things, and it'll be a lot easier. And here's the beautiful thing too, once you get comfortable with macros, it will change how you look at food forever. It will 100% change the way you look at food. All of a sudden you realize there is nothing that you cannot eat and still make the results happen, okay? You can eat any kind of food. Again, there's nothing out there you can't eat, and you can still create results. I always say, in general, for lifestyle, we're looking at the 80-20 rule, right? 80% of the time you're on, 20% of the time you're eating fun foods. As long as that's not flipped around, you're good. And what I mean by fun foods are, your desserts, things that are over-processed, things like that. You don't have to restrict those completely. You just don't want them to be the basis of your actual meals for the day. You want your whole foods to to be your basis of your meals, like your chicken, your eggs, your, your grains like rice and oatmeal and things like that. Those are your bases, your fruits, your vegetables. And then the fun stuff, ice cream, cake, wine, whatever, that's going to be your 20%. Okay. And you can still have those. You can still lose weight. You can still gain muscle. You can still do all those things. There's no magic foods out there. They all have a nutritional content. So you just have to find the right nutrition. But yes, I absolutely do teach how to do that. We go through all of that stuff together, right? So on that same topic, going into the alcohol aspect, right? So one of the questions that came in was, I screwed up at my Thanksgiving dinner and ate way over what I had planned. Alcohol was the tipping point. What do you recommend when it comes to drinking at holiday dinners and parties? All right, that deserves another sip. So there's one of two things you can do. You can either skip the alcohol completely, because for some people, alcohol is a trigger. And once you start drinking, you can't stop. It leads to other poor decisions. It impairs your ability to make rational, correct decisions for yourself. So if that's you, my suggestion is just don't drink, period. Just don't do it, okay? The other suggestion is plan what you're going to drink, okay? If you're going to have 1 glass of wine, keep it at 1 glass of wine so that you can plot it into your macros and you don't go over that. If you're going to have a glass of wine, typically you're having about 39 grams of carbs. You're going to equal 1 glass of wine. Now we could go into this whole diatribe of how to actually track your alcohol, but we're not going to do that today. We're just going to use that as an example. So you know that 1 glass of wine is going to equal 39 carbs. So you have to have 39 carbs in your macros that day for that 1 glass of wine. And then if you go over that, you have to calculate more carbs in there. Just so you know, alcohol has to go in as either a carb or a fat, one or the other, okay? So it has to be plotted in there, one or the other. If you can do it that way, great. Then you can still participate in drinking and all that kind of stuff when you're at these parties and at the dinners and stuff like that. And then you don't go off your plan. You don't feel like you did any harm to yourself, all that kind of stuff. And you can still drink, you can still enjoy yourself. If you can't do that, again, just abstain completely. There's nothing wrong with saying no. There's nothing wrong with saying no to alcohol, right? The other thing is to watch the type of alcohol that you drink. Knowing what is in your drink is important. One of the issues with going to some of these holiday parties is you're gonna have like spiked punch and stuff, right? So you don't know what's actually in there. You don't know how much alcohol is in there. You don't know how much sugar is in there. You don't know how much fruit punch they put in there. You don't know how much seltzer is in there. You don't know any of that stuff. So stay away from those kinds of drinks. Stay away from the drinks that are full of like the sugary mixers and things like that. Those are the ones that spike your blood sugar and all of that make you want more. That sugar is a drug. It is going to make you want more, period. You're going to get two things. You're going to get the sugar spike and you're going to get the lack of ability to make rational decisions because you're getting a little tipsy, right? They could be really heavy pours with the alcohol, so you don't know what's in it. Stay away from drinks like that. Stay away from, fruity drinks like, Mai Tais and Long Islands and stuff like that that's got a lot of extra added calories in them. I don't even drink that stuff, so I don't even know what's in half of them. Stick with drinks that you know what you are consuming. So glass of red wine, perfect. You know what's in that glass of red wine. You can look up any wine on Google and it will give you the nutritional facts. It'll give you how many carbs are in there. It'll give you how many calories are in there, all of that. So there's that. You can go with lighter colored alcohols, meaning vodkas. Vodka's a great one. Tequila is a great one. You know how many calories are in a shot of each of those. A shot of vodka, I think, is 55 calories, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. So you know what you're putting into your body. Okay, you know that you've got 55 calories that you have to allot for in either, carbs or fats. Stick to that. Put in some club soda, 0 calorie something to mix with it, seltzer water with some flavoring or something like that. And then you're good. Again, you can drink, you know what's in it, and you're not going to blow your macros, and you're not going to go overboard, and you're not going to have one of those fuck it moments, and you're just going to start drinking and eating everything. Okay? Alcohol for a lot of people is the trigger. It's the tipping point, it's the trigger. So you've got to know that about yourself. You got to know if you can either drink and do it responsibly and in moderation, or if you just need to eliminate it completely. And friends and family out there, please, if somebody says they don't want to drink, let them not drink. Don't make them drink, okay? Don't say, oh, you can have just one, you can have just one. No, it's a no, okay? So know your limits, know what you can do, know what you can't, okay? If you can't handle it, don't even try. If you wanna try, the good thing to do is to plot out how much you're allowed and to pick the drinks that are not like those crazy fruity mixed drinks and holiday punches and things like that, okay? That's how you manage alcohol, all right? And then the last question for today. What to do when you hit a plateau in weight loss? This is such a broad question, you guys, such a broad question. But weight loss is tricky because sometimes weight loss is not a good thing because you could be burning through muscle. The ideal thing is that you're burning through body fat and not muscle, because muscle is working tissue. You want to keep your muscle. You want to get rid of the body fat, right? That's the weight that you want to drop. So sometimes you're sitting there and you feel like you're not losing weight because the scale's not changing. But in reality, you may be putting some muscle on and dropping some fat. So your body composition is changing. So you're going in the right direction, but on the scale, it looks like you're not. So this is a very tough thing to be able to do and manage on your own. This is why having a coach is very important, even when you're doing lifestyle training, because it's hard for you to see that yourself. And this is where knowing data and knowing your numbers is very important as well, okay? Because you could be actually going in the right direction with your physique, but the scale just may not be showing it. Weight is relative, okay? You want to have good weight and you want to remove the body fat. So if let's just say all things are equal, you know what you're doing, you do have a coach, let's just say that your nutrition is on point, you're not gaining muscle, you're not dropping body fat, and you're just stalled. Let's just say that that's the situation. Well, then there's something going on within your macros or within your training that is off, okay? Or it could be hormonal. So the first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna look at your training, we're gonna look at your diet. Are you actually hitting your macros? That's the first thing, okay? Drill in deep. Maybe you're not tracking those extra little bites. You know, maybe you had an extra bite of that, that holiday ham or something and you didn't track that and you're doing that every day. Well, that adds up. That adds up, right? Maybe you're not tracking the alcohol that you're drinking. We just talked about alcohol. Maybe you're not tracking the alcohol that you're drinking. If that's the case, you are taking in a lot more calories than you actually are writing down, right? There might be something missing there, okay? There might be something missing from your macros, okay? So that's the first thing. Really dig in deep. Make sure that what you are actually tracking is what you are consuming, okay? Next thing is training intensity. Are you going into the gym and just checking the boxes? Are you just going in and doing it? Or are you actually training? Are you actually engaged? Is your mental connected to your body when you're going into training? Are you doing that? There is a lot of room for increased intensity in the gym in general, just in general for most people. Most people are not training as hard as they think that they are, okay? They're not burning as many calories as they think they are. They're not pushing their body to failure. They're not doing progressive overload. They're not actually working as hard as they think that they are. This is where having a trainer in the gym could be very helpful. Because if you have that trainer, they can be pushing you and you can see what it actually feels like to really push yourself, right? That could be where you're missing the boat, okay? Track your steps throughout the day. You may be doing cardio along with your training and with your diet. And maybe the cardio intensity isn't high enough. Maybe you're not tracking that. Track your heart rate. If you're not getting your heart rate up high enough, you could be not burning enough calories. You might think that you are, but if you're not actually tracking your heart rate, you don't know how much you're actually burning, okay? Or your steps could be very low. I know a lot of people that think that they're active throughout the day and they're not. They sit at a desk job most of the day. They don't get up and walk around. They don't take walks. I know some people get in like 2,000 steps a day. If that's you, that's not enough movement. You need about 8 to 10,000 steps a day just for your regular heart health. Okay, so track your steps. Maybe you're not actually getting in as much activity as you think that you are. Okay, so check that. Just a simple addition of steps throughout the day could make all of the difference. So let's say maybe you're doing 6,000 steps a day. Let's just say that that's what your number is once you've tracked it. Bump it up to 8,000 steps a day and just see what happens. Maybe you'll start hitting that switch again. Maybe you'll start dropping the weight again, okay? Simple things like that. Try that first, okay? If at that point that's not working, look at your cardio. Say, okay, is my intensity of my cardio where it should be? Maybe your heart rate is supposed to be at 135 beats a minute and your heart rate's only at 110. Bump your heart rate up during that cardio. That's your intensity right there, okay? Or maybe we got to look at the macros. Again, maybe you are tracking everything correctly with your macros. We're just not dropping some weight, so we got to shift those macros around. Maybe drop a little bit on the macros, so what you're actually eating throughout the day, or maybe just shifting them. Maybe you need a little bit more carbs, a little less fat, or vice versa. Shift them around, see if your body responds a little bit better. Try all those different things, and just little teeny tiny incremental changes, and try one at a time. Because if you do them all, you don't know what's actually working and what's not. So do one thing at a time. Try the steps first, then increase the cardio intensity. Then you can increase the amount of cardio. Then you can go to your macros and say, okay, maybe I need to shift them around. One at a time. Give your body at least a week on each one of these things to see if it affects you any which way. If you do all of those things and your body still is stalling and not moving, it might be hormonal at that point. So at that point, what you should do is you should go get your blood work drawn. Okay, get your blood work done. See if there's something inside of you that is not working properly that we can't see from the outside. Could be something simple, you know, it could be your cortisol is off. Maybe you're not sleeping enough and your cortisol is too high. And if that's the case, it's affecting everything else in your body, right? So it could be something that's going on with you and what's going on internally. We can't see it on the outside. So again, if you're stalling on your weight loss and you're stalling on your progress, look first at your steps, then look at your cardio intensity, then your training intensity and your macros, okay? Look at each piece individually, figure out where you're missing that puzzle piece, and then just try to adjust little things until you see your body respond. If that doesn't work, that's when you gotta go get those blood results drawn and figure out what's going on, okay? And I think that does it for today. I did have somebody write in and say thank you for everything that we're doing here, and I appreciate the thank yous, I do. So if you are one of those people who appreciates this, I appreciate you hugely. The best thing you can do for me really is just comment on this video, like it, share it with all your friends, that kind of thing. Get this boosted up in the algorithms for us, because all of that support really, really matters. Yeah, and then I can do more of these things for you and do more fun coffee tastings and all of that. So this is my last one that I will do prior to my final show of the year competing. So hope you guys enjoyed it. Hey Elvis, my dog's been clip-clopping through this whole thing. So you hear this on the floor? That's Elvis. That's my dog over there. He I don't know what he wants. I think he wants to try some of the coffee. But anyway, I am going to finish this because, as I said, I am in prep, my final week. I gotta go get some steps in, so this is gonna actually fuel my walk because I gotta get my steps in just like I tell you guys to do that too. So I'm gonna go drink this a little bit, try out the Black Rifle Coffee Company. Again, veteran-run supports our first responders, all of the fun things in America, that's important, you know, America strong. Like, comment, subscribe, share, comment your questions. I'll be happy to answer them during these little Q&As here, and we will see you back here with coffee to cigars next time. Bye guys.